Ed never told you it's rooted in the river, did he?
I can hear you whispering, children, so I know you're down there. I can feel myself getting awful mad.
Here is all the passion and suspense, the heart-pounding warmth of the best-selling novel that gripped millions.
Oh, wake up! Come on!
Superb, unforgettable performances by an extraordinary array of talent.
Figured I was gone, huh?
Run, hide in the staircase. Run quick! Ruby, shit! What do you want?
I want them kids.
I'm giving you to the count of 3 to get out of here. Then I'm coming across the kitchen shooting you.
The combined powers of Paul Gregory and Charles Lawton brought the King Mutiny Court-Martial to Broadway. Now the screen receives that same creative, electrifying impact. The Night of the Hunter.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad trailer, I don't think.
Yeah, they didn't have that little girl screaming all of her lines at the top of her lungs, so you know.
And they didn't
My name is Paul.
Hey. And they also didn't go, the hunter. He's wanted by 1,000 women and chased down by 1,000 men.
Exactly. It doesn't have that.
Actually, that trailer might work better for this movie than it did for The Third Man. The hunter. He's wanted by every woman and feared by one man. Or, vice versa.
I mean, how would you really...
woman.
Exactly. How would you really articulate the creeping dread of, almost child's fable like that this movie entails? You got to have dramatic music to catch the attention, right? So, yeah, what are you going to do? It's good. It's a good trailer.
You have the music and you have the... you introduce the characters, I guess, the same way that they kind of would at the beginning of some kind of Brothers Grimm fairy tale or something. And I don't know. Interestingly, the soundtrack, instead of doing it as instead of doing it like song by song, they actually did it as like 18-minute long tracks where they kind of introduced the characters. And it's almost like hearing Peter and the Wolf, pretty much.
They have themes for the different characters.
Yeah, but they introduced it a lot of the same way that they kind of, that old Peter and the Wolf recording where they're like, they do it kind of like that, which I kind of found fascinating. Anyway, I should say that this is Movie Night Extravaganza, episode 86. Moving along these episodes, pretty fast. I think we're gonna hit 90 before the end of this noir season. But I'm Forrest Miller. Always Flacco, hanging out here.
Flaccoing it up.
I was gonna say not getting hunted down, hopefully, by a murderous
It's young, we'll see.
Yeah, I might install some itinerant preachers. They might come from my head. But joined as always by J. Andrew World, washed in the blood. How's it going?
Pretty good. The good blood cleansing really gets into your pores, nice and deep. Just wonders for the hair, by the way.
Get that Kim K treatment.
I'm kind of disappointed that no one made their handle on here, like right hand, left hand. But maybe that's too on the nose.
I like to go for the more subtle approach and/or something funny that somebody says. So
yeah, all right. Well, Conan Neutron, host of Protonic Reversal, Conan Neutron and the Secret Friends. This show, he has a music festival coming up very soon. Caterwall. Did I get all of your things?
Probably not, but that seems like a lot, doesn't it? We're almost, if you don't subscribe to Protonic Reversal, do it soon. It's almost 1,000. So I think you get a prize when you hit 1,000. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention the petition. That's still a thing. I think it's still working that bit, right? Yeah. Have me replace James Corden or Craig Ferguson. So go sign.
Or hit James Corden with the car. One of the other.
Car crash karaoke.
He got fired.
So this is, I'm glad we're doing this. This is in, if not the top 20, top 50 movies for me. I really like this movie a lot, so I'm glad we're covering it.
I'm glad we're in this order because we each had a movie that we picked, you know, for this, and then it was an existential struggle, I'd say, to pick, you know, one of two movies for each of us, and then we're in the order of the movies, and this is your movie that you picked.
Absolutely, I'm happy to be doing it.
What was the other one? I can't remember which.
That was for me. Probably Chinatown, which we ended up kind of getting my way anyway.
Out of your contract negotiations.
That's right.
Yeah, because mine was Touch of Evil or Third Man. We did that, and you know, Andy's was either Stray Dog or Tokyo Drifter, and we're gonna do Tokyo Drifter on Tuesday. So we didn't plan it out that all three of our episodes are back to back, the ones that we picked, but it is kind of interesting that it
just kind of worked out that way. Yeah, no, I mean, I ain't mad at it. You know, like I think it actually works really nicely with everything together.
Tonight's New York Times Critic Choice pick is Night of the Hunter. But I should also call into the conversation our beautiful, wonderful guests. Of course, Ron Purtee, host of Uncle Ron's Drive-In. And you know, you can find him on all the things, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, posting memes, you know, everywhere that you'd really find somebody.
This is some intro.
Yeah,
he's real busy.
Everywhere I'm Uncle Ron.
He's real busy.
Yeah, I am real busy. I have a comic book out now. I have a book out. I have a story coming out in a magazine. I have a signing coming up for the comic book. So I'm a little busy. I also am binging Doctor Who. So that's a full-time job in and of itself.
And he's murdered so many widows. He can't remember if it's 6 or 12.
It might even be 13.
Yeah. You lose track at a certain point.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How many has it been, Lord? Yeah, of course, we have Kristina Oaks. I'm Kristina on Twitch. She just did a panel.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yep. An abortion panel where the full panel decided to give someone an abortion. It was kind of crazy. I heard that, you know, they all got banned on Twitch after that.
Are we talking like an Oprah type thing where, and you get one, and you get one?
You get an abortion. You get an
We've all
abortion.
decided abortion could be a good thing, especially in regards to certain people like Adolf Hitler, but I digress.
I would go back in time and abort baby Hitler.
The problem with that, though, is if you do that, who's to say somebody worse won't show up?
I mean, we got Ron DeSantis, so we're getting there.
Low bar. Yeah.
Vladimir Putin showed up instead of Hitler. Worse than Hitler or equal. We have not decided.
Donald Trump is now the dictator of Germany, and we have to defeat him.
Today, we learned about women in history like Cleopatra and Catherine the Great, fucking badasses, especially Catherine the Great, like the greatest leader Russia ever had.
Yeah, Catherine the Great is impressive.
She was hashtag girl boss.
Yeah, but she got cancer
He tried to smear her by saying that, you know, she fucked a horse.
With a horse.
And there is no evidence that happened. That's how they try to take down hashtag girl boss.
Yeah.
And Catherine the Great's a much better name than Catherine the
Yeah.
So
Catherine
was his sister.
Okay.
That was his sister, Catherine the
Yeah.
Anyway, enough material.
That was certainly a bit, wasn't it? Yeah. All right.
That was a good bit.
a bit of what? I don't know.
A bit of fun on a Friday.
It wasn't half bad. It was all bad.
You know, Robert Mitchum kind of gives one of the all-time great performances in this. Also in Out of the Past, he's like the protagonist in that movie, and Kirk Douglas is the villain, which is a weird thing to hear because I feel like Robert Mitchum has kind of made his bones as like a very creepy looking, almost like leading man character actor, which is weird, right? Like you expect with that face that he would be a character actor, but he kind of appeared, I think, in this noir time period where you could kind of you could be an interesting looking leading man.
I mean, Mitchum has so much charisma. Like he's just gonna show up and it's like, okay, you're the lead. Yeah.
You're the bad guy, obviously. You're the guy who, you know, like whatever. Like when I first watched this movie, I was like, this reminds me of Cape Fear. But then I'm like, this is pre-Cape Fear.
I
was like,
you know what this movie really reminds me of? Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Man, Robert De Niro. Like he's just,
And Scorsese doing the tattoos in his remake of Cape Fear is doing an homage to this movie, which is kind of interesting, right? Like the great Robert Mitchum performances. But
absolutely, and when it, like as you mentioned, like I mean, I would solidly put Robert Mitchum's performance is one of the greatest villains of cinema. Frankly, he's fantastic. Like, I know people that like have their quibbles and dislike about the movie or whatever, but like it's pretty hard to argue with the fact that his performance.
I have problems with some of the way the script was written, but like his performance is just outshines like the weaknesses that
does not deserve that reputation. And I feel like this movie did kind of pushed along the long-standing rumor that they're these evil bait stealing and human attacking creatures. Not true. And I take issue with it. Canceled. Movie canceled. Stream canceled.
That's just you playing up to all your marine biologist buddies you found from that tweet earlier this week. You're trying to keep them going.
I'm trying to keep them. I'm trying
to keep them hooked. Get it?
Yeah, they took the bait.
My bio bros need to be satiated by the stream. So I am here to stand up for the alligator guard.
The stream,
right?
Also, I will say my title name is an homage to the great Lillian Gish, who is considered the first lady of American cinema.
Who is a complete and utter badass in this as well.
Yes.
She has those beautiful silent film eyes, and
yes.
I think it's really interesting that so many silent film actresses kind of did a really had those kinds of same kind of eyes almost like their eyes have to pop because obviously they're not making sounds, and it kind
plastic surgeons were making a ton of cash back then.
I know. To quote the great Christopher Walken from Saturday Night Live, "Eyes are the windows of the face."
Yeah.
The Emperor in Dune now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do hope he imports that line. So
I still haven't seen the first Dune.
The spice extends life.
You'll go with that. Oh.
but yeah, I think that Robert Mitchum's performance in this, allegedly what we were talking about, absolutely crushes it. I would call it kind of almost like the archetype, like a big bad wolf archetype, right? Like I feel like there's a whole bunch of different evil personified, right? Like there's this whole subset of villains in a lot of older movies, and still that kind of you don't feel like a motive for their evil as much as just that they are evil, right? Like he believes God's speaking to him and God is sending him out, kind of an Old Testament God, which is kind of fascinating. I think that Lillian Gish's God seems to be like the New Testament Christian God, and his seems to be like the vengeance loving, strike them dead for anything that happens. Like the cure for sin is just to kill somebody, and you assume that they've already sinned and the human race needs to be extinguished. That seems to be the God that he's praying to.
It's like Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So wait.
Just like Moon Knight, yes.
So Robert Mitchum's running around praying to Khonshu?
Yeah. That's a little known fact about this. I read it on IMDb.
Well, I mean, then it's got to be real.
Got to be.
What faith do you profess, preacher? Well, Moon Knight. I read a comic. And I'm just into it now.
The thing is though he's. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to get us back on track, it's absolutely Robert Mitchum's character is Old Testament for sure. Old Testament.
100%. But I mean, can you really call him a villain? Because he probably a good villain, and that's what he is. But I mean, a really great villain believes they're the hero of the story.
Yes.
And that's exactly what he does.
Yeah.
He thinks he's the hero of the story.
But he thinks he's literally speaking to God, and God is out there telling him
right
that you should steal money from people, which is essentially what it comes
kill
down
widows and take their money.
Robin Hood.
But it's for what is seen as the greater good, which is always the thing of the villain being the hero of their own story. Hannibal Lecter, Darth Vader, like all of the great villains.
Wanda Maximoff did nothing wrong.
Recency bias, but yes,
it's funny. It's funny you mention Darth Vader, because when he would make his appearance and you'd hear like the bum bum, it really felt like Lucas had seen this movie a couple of times before he created Darth Vader. Yeah.
Also, at one point when they're in the raft and there's a bird chirping and it makes the exact same R2-D2 sound. I just was watching the movie again and realized that there's a bird chirping that goes, and like my mom was like in the other room too, and she's like, is that Star Wars? Is that the sound from Star Wars?
Is this a Star Wars? Doesn't look like a Star Wars.
How many Wilhelm screams was in this movie? No.
I was watching it. My brother thought I was watching Doctor Who. because it was black and white. He just assumed.
And because you watch a lot of Doctor Who, so you...
My
Like a
mom saw Robert
ridiculous
Griffin,
amount.
He was like, "Are you watching Cape Fear?"
Doctor Who never looked as good as this movie, though. Like,
This movie, the visuals are pretty awesome. Like,
are
use some
amazing.
shadow in there.
Like,
yeah,
just like to another level. It's actually kind of a nice lead into my movie for Noir Month. So, with just gorgeous visuals. This certainly, the use of black and white. When people turn off lights and creating silhouettes, and the silhouettes add to the story. Like they're thinking about this like a comic artist. The cinematographer obviously worked probably with a really good storyboard artist, I would imagine, because like they turned that as to a part of storytelling, which is masterful.
A lot of it was actually the cinematographer. Stanley Cortez is his name. He's the same cinematographer that did the Magnificent Ambersons. He's the same cinematographer that did Three Faces of Eve, which is another movie that had some very interesting cinematic techniques, I think. But he actually did a lot of this on the fly, and I don't know. He seems like he's kind of one of those old style. There's a whole video of him that I sent you guys last night, but he's kind of one of those old style shit talkers that like, I did everything. So who knows, how much he actually contributed to it. But I do have 2 clips of him, for later on in the show where. Yeah, all right, hold on. I gotta grab it.
because I think that this is a movie that both the use of music and the use of shadow and light are pretty extraordinary and very influential. So I think it's worth exploring because
Full of German expressionism.
Gosh, like look at Ingmar Bergman. He liked it too.
The happiest filmmaker ever.
Exactly.
John's there.
Where's the money hidden? Tell me, you little wretch, or I'll tear your arm off.
Did you have a basic idea of what you wanted to do, you and Charles Lawton, on The Night of the Hunter in terms of the lighting?
It was my concept completely.
What was it?
That's hard to explain. But what I will tell you, you say, what was your concept? It's hard to explain.
But technically,
when a painter paints a picture, say, what was his concept? It's his style that counts. It's what he thinks and feels and does, and what he reflects and what he has gone through life and so on and so on. You just don't make pictures with just light. There must be a reason. But there's a sequence in Night of the Hunter. And it's a very poetic sequence. And I lit it in a sort of full-bodied way. But after hearing Bob Mitchum talk and what he had to say, I used to begin with, say, about 10 lights. I designed the whole concept with 4 lights. Because the 4 lights that I used, I think it's the 10, was the dramatic communication that I wanted the audience to get.
Harry?
Fix that window shade.
Now, when we rehearsed the scene, and when I was changing lighting,
Harry?
Charles Lawton
I was praying.
said to me, Stan, what are you thinking about? I was pretty close to Charles. I said, none of your damn business, Lawton. In a humorous way. But he insisted. I said, Charles, I'm thinking about a piece of music right now. And he said, and may I ask what the music is? I said, Waltz Triste. Now, before I go any further, music plays a very important part in my work because it gives me the key to a characterization of lighting. Now, another thing happened all this time, and Charles turned his face red. He said, how right you are. Because the music of Waltz Triste is a waltz strange tempo. Beam, bum, da-dum, bum, 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 dee-da-da-da-dee-da-da, down the line. Well, Charles was so impressed that he called, and this never happened before, he called the composer, Walter Schumann, on the set to watch what I was doing visually so that he, Schumann, can do musically. And that's how the waltz tempo was designed on Night of the Hunter.
would you describe The Night of the Hunter as being a low-key picture?
I would consider that as a contrast picture, not necessarily in terms of a low key, because that was shot in a very high key, but the impression of a low key. You follow me? The expression of low key is a very erroneous expression. When people think in terms of low key lighting, they think in terms of using a very small amount of light. You see? Now, I can use a great many lights and still have a low key effect or a low key feeling. We did something in Night of the Hunter, which I think is very interesting. We were at the RKO Ranch, and the scene of the little boy behind the window in the house. And we got the feeling that we should sort of dolly in to the boy. Well, it was getting late in the day, and Charles and I talked about it, about moving in. I said, Charles, I've got an idea. I think you'll like it. What I did was I used a simple iris, and by closing the iris down, just holding the boy's face gave the impression of a move in.
Way to give Charles Lawton no credit on making this movie.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that was, I mean...
I seen this movie myself.
Yeah, well,
I said it in a very humorous way.
The thing is like he's talking about, you know, using all these lights, but it almost makes it look like he's using natural light, like he's trying to make Barry Lyndon before Barry Lyndon. And which I guess it, you know, isn't a bad thing unless you, I mean, if you are out of Ambien. But because Barry Lyndon is, oh my God, yeah, that's a story for a whole other time. But no, it seems like like it was almost natural.
After party.
You know, because like the way, especially like when she's in the bathroom in that sequence, you know, the light's coming in from the moonlight from the window kind of thing. So it's, I mean, it almost seemed like natural lighting. I wouldn't call it low key, and I don't, you know, but.
He was getting fed up with that, with the woman that was interviewing him the entire time. He's like, it's not low key. It's you know, it's
erroneous.
It's Thor.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's Tom Hiddleston lighting.
And I should say there's 3 minutes. There's 3 minutes of him actually praising Charles Lawton before that. So he does give him credit, but he says that because it was Charles Lawton's first and only picture that he directed. It is, and you know, it's kind of sad that 5 years later Charles Lawton would pass away, and he felt like this film was a failure because it was, you know, commercially, I guess, a failure.
Yeah, just because critics hated it and it did poorly commercially, everyone thought it was a failure.
Yeah. But now it's like one of the most you know, singularly impressive, and I think
like right behind Citizen Kane type of good.
Yeah. So it's kind of wild, you know, within your lifetime, if your lifetime is only 5 years after the fact, like maybe your art will be unappreciated, but you know, when it finally comes down to like how the art looks in retrospect, I think it could be incredibly influential. Someone's echoing. I don't know.
I sure as hell hope so. Yeah. Anyway, so I agree that, and it's a shame this is the only movie he ever did.
Yeah. But he was also, I mean, he has a lot of theater that he did.
He did like a lot of theater stuff. Yeah. He did like a lot of acting.
And he was in like hundreds of, or at least dozens of movies, including The Hunchback of Notre Dame. He had his own version of that, which was, you know, inspired people like Guillermo del Toro later on.
Well, my whole thing is if he had done a movie after this, and now we go and we look back and we think this is a masterpiece, would anything else that he had done kind of hit the same level? You know what I mean? Can you like, because I mean, like
the sophomore slump basically is what you're trying to say.
Well, not even the sophomore slump. I mean, because Wells made Kane, which is a masterpiece in my eyes, but he went on to make more great films, but none of them ever really hit the same level.
He went on to make The Magnificent Ambersons with our good friend, Stanley Cortez, who also claims he came up with everything on that too. Everything.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a guy that's been denied flowers for too long because he clearly needs to get them.
Well,
his mom didn't hug him.
This film kind of, since it was like a big, like a flop and during its time, but it developed like a cult following. at first, which we all know what happens when films develop a bit of a cult following. Sometimes it reaches into the mainstream and people actually reevaluate it and realize, oh shit, this might be a masterpiece after all.
What happens when you start a cult following is everybody starts trying to be their own Harry Powell, and they go out and they start killing widows.
Well, yeah, exactly. You should mention that because I was looking up information. There was an episode called Fall, the television series Better Call Saul. The Night of the Hunter show playing in a retirement home as series protagonist, Jimmy McGill attempts to deceive a number of his clients. Reverend Powell's hand gestures during his right hand, left hand speech are juxtaposed with similar gestures made by Jimmy, highlighting his charismatic but duplicitous nature. And also, too, it was mentioned and used in Promising Young Woman, which is a favorite film of mine.
That's kind of crazy because not knowing this film, I think watching Better Call Saul, I don't remember that happening, but like it is totally something that they would do in that show.
I was totally doing the Leo. I was doing that meme the entire time.
Well, the thing about Better Call Saul is like the character of Jimmy McGill was a big fan of old cinema because if you notice,
that's the network speech, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, not only that, but like his company or whatever is Ice Station Zebra Associates. You know, so he's just him and Kim are always watching older movies, and it's
I saw a tweet that someone had today where they said the thing that Better Call Saul has done more than anything else is make you realize how much fun it is to watch older movies with your hot lawyer girlfriend.
I need to get one then.
They're always watching old movies on that show. Like he's obsessed, and it kind of plays into like his stage persona, which I kind of find really fascinating in that show because like not only is he theatrical as a kind of a performance artist throughout that show, like bending the line between kind of television personality and lawyer, but like also you can see that he's like inspired by decades of filmmaking and television shows and stuff. And I have to wonder if like Vince Gilligan in his mind was like, I want to shoehorn as many older movies into this as I can, and like this is a perfect way to do it.
Why not? But I mean, like, what? But also, why not? Because there's so many inspirational things in Night of the Hunter, as far as like certain types of directors have like wholesale like taken their style from like certain scenes. Like, look at like. Yeah, for one, yeah. Like look at this scene of like when in the boat, right, where the uncle's like in the boat and like you see like the car and she's like in the car like because Robert Mitchell's character has killed her and like driven the car into the lake or the river, sorry, and I mean just that visual alone, like how many times have we seen that echoed in cinema and TV?
Yeah, and there's that Guillermo del Toro thing where he's talking about this movie and he says he's tried over and over again to kind of replicate that scene and he just can't. Like the actual placement and stuff. That it's pretty incredible. It's like a painting, I think, almost. When she's in the car.
Really is
gorgeous.
Like I watch those Criterion Closet videos and I just get pissed off that I can't be in there with a bag and just start going like this and putting them in there. But one of the early ones, Michael K. Williams was in there, and one of the first movies he grabbed was Night of the Hunter, and just talked about how amazing it was. And then you see, oh hey, there you go.
My last record, by the way. And I was gonna say, like as I was saying, I'm like, wait a second.
and like Spike Lee was influenced by this movie. If you get him talking about it, he won't shut up.
Yeah, well, you have the Radio Raheem thing.
Radio Raheem.
Yep.
And he has the love and hate on his knuckles. And yeah.
Are we close to a Criterion burning yet?
Oh, you go into the closet, right? Everybody goes into the closet. Well, we should redistribute the movies from the Criterion closet to the people. I don't know why we're not doing this. It's $27 on average for a Criterion Channel movie. Who can afford that? We go into the closet and we just redistribute 10% of the movies in the closet. Redistribute 10% to the people. The American people deserve this.
They won't appreciate it, but they deserve it.
But I mean, and there's a lot of like think about the scene where the kids are in the boat and they're just like going down the river, and you see it from the perspective of the different beasts on the shore and things as they pass by everything. Like it's so like simple compositionally, but man, it's just like such a striking and iconic visual.
I would have booked it out of there if I was that desert tortoise because number one, it shouldn't have been there. But there's I was watching it on Amazon Prime, and the thing pops up where it's like continuity stuff, and it's like a desert tortoise would not have been living in West Virginia, and it's like, yeah, no,
maybe it was on vacation. All right.
He was visiting his Red Ear Slider cousins out north.
But I would have booked it out of there if I was that tortoise, because he starts talking about like, oh, we can make soup out of it, but I don't know how I get it open. I'd be like, oh, that's my cue. I'm out of here. I should have never come to West Virginia.
To be fair, if that tortoise did start booking it, it would still be booking it now. So.
Yeah,
it'd still be on its way.
Yeah.
And I will also say, I am glad,
out of here.
I'm glad for that musical number on the river that was sung by the little girl, was not sung by the actual little girl, but apparently somebody else. It sounded like an adult trying to sound like a little girl.
Yeah.
Bjork.
Yes. It totally sounds like a Bjork song. I mean,
no, but like, I appreciated because like her line delivery was very monotonic because she was screaming every single line, just like a 4-year-old would. You know, which if you've had children, you understand this, but as a film viewer, it's not something I particularly enjoyed. But I did appreciate that they had somebody else singing.
Yeah, well, Sean Moon commented, and so I'll read it so that the audio version people aren't just confused about what we're answering. Has there ever been a better scene of horror than when Uncle Bertie discovers Shelley Winters underwater in the car? I like that he doesn't. I like that he realizes that he could get reported because he's just kind of some creepy old guy and you know what I mean, like some alcoholic old guy in on a river boat thing. Like he realizes that he's the one that would instantly get pinned on, not like the.
Yeah, like, oh, you found her there, huh? Oh, okay. Yeah,
wait, aren't you the guy that's giving little kids coffee?
Right, exactly.
And he has some relationship because he knows the family and he must be the brother of the dad, right? Like I think that's what's implied.
Yeah,
it's pretty clear there's some Irish in that coffee. Yeah.
The funny thing is the dad was Peter Graves, and like I recognized him, but I couldn't quite place him because I'd never seen him so young.
I didn't even know he was ever young.
And I was just thinking, like I realized, I know he did something with Mr. Spock, but he wasn't on Star Trek.
Was you ever seen a grown man naked?
I was gonna say that. I want you to swear. Have you ever seen a grown man naked?
So good.
Yeah, I've only ever seen him old, so it was really jarring to see him as like a young, like, hot, muscly like actor. I guess it's understandable how he ended up being a graying silver fox of an actor later on.
You know, I was looking at Harry F. Powers, you know, the guy that Robert, you know, that the character's based off of, and like the crimes he committed. Robert, they must have really tried to find a guy that looked like Harry F. Powers, because damn, Robert Mitchum's almost like a dead ringer for this guy.
Really? It was crazy. I have the Harry Powers Wikipedia thing pulled up right now.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, like a lumpier version of Robert Mitchum, yeah.
With a worse haircut.
I don't know the story exactly of this, but I don't know if he I haven't seen anything that says that he was going around.
Movie Extravaganza brought to you by Wikipedia, where you can find anything you want to know.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, so he was the Lonely Hearts murderer, right? Like the guy that went around killing widows and you know, lonely women. But I don't know if there was the part of it where he was like where he was an itinerant. I don't know if the part of it where he was an itinerant preacher was. I'm kind of curious about that.
I don't know, but it just reminded me of.
I guess they wanted some irony or something like that.
It reminded me of this Twitter account I found today of like it's like bad YouTube comments, and somebody commented like, "Why do they keep giving serial killers?" Yeah, I know.
Just look at my YouTube channel.
The comment was like, "Why do people keep giving serial killers such great names?" That's why they keep giving more serial killers. So it's like,
look, I wasn't going to become a serial killer, but I never got a nickname, and
if they didn't call him the Lonely Heart serial killer, would we have the Night Stalker?
Black Dahlia killer?
Yeah.
So he's the Lonely Hearts. He would take out the Lonely Hearts ads in the paper or whatever, where you know you would look for somebody. And it was the early version of like going online to do online dating or something, where you put your profile up there, like you would do that, but in a newspaper.
Yeah, he's
like the Craigslist killer.
We better have a Night Stalker, because a world without Carl Kolchak is one that I do not want to live in.
Kolchak the Indeed. There we go. This is just show to get that reference, folks.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that this is
well, before we dance on to the next thing immediately and then be immediately sidetracked by whatever's on Andy's mind, can we talk about other people that were up for the Robert Mitchum role or that they talked about? I think this is actually really fascinating. This is I understand that it's the Kristina bit, but there were other people that were considered for the role. And I mean, I think it's an iconic role, and it wouldn't be the same personally. So one of the people, so we got John Carradine.
Oh,
which definitely got the gravitas to pull that off, right? So, but that would have been very different. That would have been very different. Lawton actually wanted Gary Cooper. Really? Gary Cooper in Night of the Hunter. Who can forget Gary Cooper in the role as the evil Reverend Harry Powell in Night of the Hunter?
Gary Cooper is super duper.
He's gonna soft shoe away after he murders somebody's wife.
Laurence Olivier was actually into it, but was tied up for like 2 years, so he didn't have the timing to do it. So Laurence Olivier, everybody, yeah. And Mitchum actually wanted it, and he apparently really wanted it. Also, Willa Harper, Agnes Moorehead was considered, which would have been interesting. Grace Kelly was considered for the role of Willa Harper.
See, I don't know if that would have been as good because. And this is not taking anything away from Shelley Winters, but she really played it as more of a down home kind of person. And Grace Kelly is like, holy crap. Yeah.
She's a princess.
This had to have been right before she married Prince Rainier, which I'm trying to remember what year they got married, but it was probably in like the late 50s, I think, when they got married. So because she only did like 5 films. Exactly.
Betty Grable actually was the pinup girl was also considered for the role, but in the end Lawton chose Shelley because he felt she had a vulnerable quality and was more of a serious actor than a quote-unquote movie star.
Don't bring up pictures of Eli Roth like this. It scares me.
But apparently she committed to the role like only 2 weeks before they started filming, which is crazy.
So I wanted to pull this image of Charles Lawton, who's the director of this, obviously, because he originally had bought the book so that he could play the role, in the Robert Mitchum role.
And that's not a role, right? That's just what he looked like.
That's him playing Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah. This is not his everyday look.
He had a very nice, soft-spoken voice.
Yeah.
But I don't know. So I think it's interesting to look at him because within this kind of gothic horror style, you can kind of see where he gets.
It's interesting to look at him as the Hunchback. Yeah, it's very it is interesting. I agree.
Also, Robert Mitchum actually said that that Charles Lawton was probably like one of his favorite directors to work with, and that fact that this is probably like his favorite movie he's ever acted in.
Well, being an actor, you'd figure Lawton would be an actor's director, so he would be, get really in there with the actors, So that's,
and he quintessentially was, and everyone that worked for him had an extreme amount of loyalty to him because they were like, this is a guy that this is his first movie. He's an award-winning actor, he's been acting for decades, and this is his first chance to kind of direct something. So everybody on the set of this film, whether it was Lillian Gish, whether it was the kids, whether it was Robert Mitchum, they all had this amazing loyalty and
Johnny, the older of the 2 kids, gave a hell of a good performance, and I don't even know who that kid is. Did he do anything after this?
He's been in a couple other things, nothing nuts.
I like the reason why Charles Lawton casted Lillian Gish. He's like, back in my day, they actually sat up and leaned in forward when you would appear on screen. I want people to do that again. They just slouch and slump, and I'm like, oh,
and eat their popcorn. Yeah. And Lawton was very insecure because every time somebody came up to him with an idea for the movie, he would be like, oh, is what I'm doing not good enough? And he would feel really bad about it. So that at one point, I guess they just stopped trying to give him ideas because they were afraid he was gonna end up like Shelley Winters in the water. But
no, he was a very insecure and I guess susceptible to feeling bad about his work kind of guy, I think, in general. But like the fact that this is his first film that he ever directed, I think especially so.
Probably why the director of photography there was taking all that credit.
and Lawton's not here to say you're wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that was in the 80s, and Lawton died in 1960.
Yeah, I imagine it's a bit like too, like the whole Stanley Jack Kirby thing. Like you know, Stanley took a little bit more credit for creating stuff than he deserved. And
Team Kirby.
Charles Lawton was a bisexual king. Respect.
Really?
You just now found that out?
He was in the theater.
You do realize that all the lights were pink and purple on set.
Well, he was married to I forget her name, but she played Bride of Frankenstein, and there were rumors that she was also bisexual and that they got married because they needed to put up appearances.
Lavender.
In fact, the bisexual lighting skeleton was
Elsa Lanchester.
Yes.
And he was very openly like everybody knew that he was bisexual.
Is the worst kept secret in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Not Rock Hudson?
Well, second worst kept secret.
Yes.
Actually, they have a couple pictures of Charles Lawton hanging out. Actually, and I think here he is.
Really? Oh.
He's looking good. He lost some weight.
Yeah. Looking svelte.
He's looking like a skeleton. That's how that's how skinny he is in the grave over there.
For the non-video consumers of Movie Night Extravaganza, Conan has just put up a skeleton rendering of bisexual lighting.
A 3D rendering of a skeleton. read the caption.
It is a 3D rendering.
But yeah, I think that this movie is kind of divided, much like I would say The Third Man was kind of divided up into two parts, right? Like, the first story is the story of the mother getting killed and meeting Harry Powell, and then the kids escape, and it feels like that's kind of almost like its own story in the way that a lot of those Brothers Grimm fairy tales, right? That they would have parts to it, like. First someone goes here, then someone goes there, and those are almost their own self-contained stories. So the kids take off on the river for the second part, and then they find Lillian Gish, and it's kind of a random thing. I think that this time period is interesting to make this kind of movie because people were kind of just itinerant. Like, I don't think that exists anymore.
You could still get lost in America, right?
Yeah,
like, which is not a thing you can really do anymore. Like, you can...
Well, now, I want your guys' opinion on something. We were bringing up the other actors that were up for the Mitchum role. What do you think if Wells had gotten this?
Ooh, that'd be interesting. You mean the most tedious man alive?
You definitely wouldn't have had that like Southern affect that Robert Mitchum takes on throughout that. I feel like you would have more.
Robert Mitchum's good at that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also, the people that were mentioned as the other folks like in contention would have been good. I mean, Olivier, pretty good. Would have been good in the role. Good actor, right? But yeah, like, I mean, the one that I'm like, Gary Cooper was like,
yeah, that would have been.
I don't think so. Yes.
Yeah, it is, and it's one of those classic, like fairy tale things, right? Like the adults turn out to be useless, and
the kids know what's up, and the adults are like under the spell, so to speak, of the evil character. Yeah,
it's like a Friday the 13th movie.
Hey, speaking of which,
it's Friday the 13th over here.
Hey, what are you gonna do, huh?
Well, those of you who are listening later, it is actually Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
that is the point of these comments. But like the kids are, they know what's up, and it's very clear from the very beginning. And then, like, all the adults are just under a spell. That's what it comes down to.
Either the spell of the villain or the spell of alcohol.
John is actually very, very mature for his age in this. He plays you might as well. You could have cast like a 35-year-old in that role because of the way he plays it. He's almost like he's not a kid.
John's role, Tobey Maguire.
Oh, what do you know?
My sole complaint about the first Spider-Man movie is like all these motherfuckers are in high school.
Yeah.
At least
As
the
students,
the background actors are like look like they're in high school, and then you have fucking James Franco, who I would not let into a high school, by the way, and Tobey Maguire. Be like, well, and Kirsten Dunst, all like, we are but high school children. What are we gonna do?
It was Joe Monteglano, or however you say that dude's name.
How do you do, fellow children?
Well, and that's what was so funny about the like recent Spider-Man's when Martin Starr was cast as one of the teachers. Because first I was like, hey, and then I was like, actually, that totally checks out. That's what I think about because age.
Like, oh my god, we're getting old.
Yeah, but I definitely like the first one was like straining credulity, and also like and I can't believe I pivoted to Spider-Man discussions, but here we are. Like, I don't know how so many movies have to have him in high school. Like in the comics, he really there was not that many comics where he was in high school. There's so many Spider-Man at college, Spider-Man being like a broke-ass adult trying to get through.
Being in college, so
finally,
15 issues, and most of them were in college.
Right, and the only, Ultimate Spider-Man kind of
too. By the way, Stalker Channing being 35 as Rizzo.
Well, exactly, but so anyway, the point of that is like aging down is like can be fine if you can suspend disbelief, and that's fine and dandy. But that's like, let's put it this way, like I think that having what was it, Billy, is that his name, the actor's name? I know he didn't do like too many. Billy Chapin, Harry Chapin,
Cats in the Cradle.
I mean, they did that with Shirley Temple initially. They made her a year younger because they really wanted to make her out to be like this baby. And then it wasn't until she did the War at Home, she realized, oh, I'm actually a year older than I'm supposed to be. But
why am I dying? I thought I was younger.
That's how it was back in the day, though.
Guess I'm gonna go join the UN. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, seriously, that's basically what happened.
Can we talk real quick about how they're writing the script for the remake of Night of the Hunter as we speak?
What
are they?
Yeah,
they tried to do it once already, and it was freaking horrible.
It was.
Show.
Yeah, this is from back in April 2020.
No.
And Matt Orton, who wrote Operation Finale, and he was a producer on Moon Knight, is penning it, and it's coming out through Universal.
You know who could I think do a performance though that probably wouldn't equal, but could kind of
Johnny Depp.
No, I think Billy Bob Thornton would be a really interesting person.
What about Michael Shannon?
Yeah, Michael Shannon too. But
what about Matthew McConaughey?
So
all
right. In Fargo, right? The first season of Fargo. I feel like Billy Bob Thornton's character as like I think it's Malvo is the name of his character. They barely say the names of the things in there, but his psychotic stalker killer character, assassin character in the first season of Fargo. I think there's some similarities between like the archetype, like the big bad wolf kind of archetype, right? And they make that very clear within Fargo, like the big bad wolf archetype in that in this movie in Robert Mitchum's Harry Powell.
With
two words, Nicolas Cage.
I was thinking, I don't know if you guys ever saw The Guest starring Dan Stevens, but it was almost like a big bad wolf type of situation.
Oh, The Guest is great.
Oh man! So now I'm thinking of Dan Stevens playing a character like this because he can pull off the charming like psychopath type of he's good looking, he seems charming, but
Legion.
The thing is, I think that Robert Mitchum is charming, but like in this, there's a creepiness that follows him around throughout his performance in this. That it's like, dude, there's nothing like in my mind. There's nothing like charming in the way that like Icy Spoons and her husband are just kind of dumb, but like it doesn't feel like there's something charming about him. It does like it feels like very menacing. So like
that piece brandy's for sickness in the house.
But to watch everybody fall under his spell. And in my mind, personally, I'm like, this dude is so fucking creepy. Like, you guys are falling into the spell of, like, charismatic for sure, but like this insanely insidious and like an evil-seeming itinerant preacher character. And I'm like, why are you falling under this guy's spell?
Well, but you're not. I mean, there's a certain degree of like, I'm just gonna say it. Physically attractive people can get away with a lot of shit.
Yeah, and he very much is physically attractive.
He's a handsome dude, right?
Yeah.
So like,
I mean, look what happens to his character in Cape Fear. They basically make Sam Bowden, the one that's actually has all the issues, and Max Cady, oh, he's great. He ain't doing anything wrong. He's whatever. And I'm like, hello. But again,
the Scorsese Cape Fear, the entire time the Max Cady De Niro's version, I just couldn't take it seriously that he had the Southern accent.
Nick fucking Nolte, like that's weak.
Yeah, that he shouldn't have had that accent.
No,
that wasn't good.
You talking to me? You talking to me? There's no one else goddamn here.
We should get Nick Nolte's mugshot to play Harry in the remake.
We should have the Cape Fear theme music playing in the background when we pull up that mugshot.
Yeah. But so I kind of think that this story is fascinating because it's this time period, like the Great Depression, where everyone's suffering, everybody's poor. It's kind of this collective suffering, right? That like people either kind of just decide, hey, guess what? Fuck you. I'm gonna figure out my shit and like, lock the doors. Or like that one woman that's like, oh, go away after giving them the one potato. Or, charity kind of becomes a thing that like collectively we have to do, right? Like Lillian Gish is just kind of adopting kids. And I don't know about
one potato a man eats.
Doing the right things.
But I don't really know about another time period that level of like collective I guess itinerancy is the right word, like collective traveling.
We just don't see anything like that happening anymore these days.
But the weirdness too
Thanks,
is like
Obama.
the moralizing about some of it that you see as well was very 1950s. Like there was a Lillian Gish's character was right on point for the era, but there was a lot of what seemed like poverty shaming Peter Graves at the beginning there, with the whole like you're not making any money, so he went to rob the bank and killed 2 people, and
I pushed the man to murder because I needed paint for my face.
Paint for my face. Exactly. That's the one that
I wanted clothes and the face paint, and I drove my husband to kill 2 men.
And can we talk about in that scene, like how like this is Robert Mitchum's like their people are like doing their testimony and whatnot, but they got the flames going. Like how cool are like that's such a neat visual of just sort of like like it's got like
it's like its own kind of snake handling kind of thing almost. The way
there's a sequence in this movie that it really hit me hard, and it's such a throwaway sequence. It's when the guard is done executing their dad, and he comes home saying, I don't know how much more of this I can do. This, that, and the other thing. I'm like, wow, that is like, we never see from the guard's point of view.
Where's that Disney Plus prestige television show? Thank you.
See, that's what we need.
It's also something that we talked
Green Mile,
about
the series.
Exactly.
With Eileen Jones, like when she came on, right? In noir, all these random side characters that like you kind of just see for 1 or 2 scenes kind of have these whole rich backstories. And I think with the, you find out with Bart the Executioner, I guess is his name. You find out really quickly, like, oh, well, he used to work in the mine and his wife doesn't want him to go back to the mine because it was a mine collapse. And now he's an executioner. And like, you find out this whole rich backstory for this guy within that one scene. He's like, I don't want to do this anymore. And she's like, do you think you're going to leave your kids without a father?
Yeah.
So murder more people.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the 2 choices, apparently. That's the only types of vocations available in that town.
And they bring him back at the end. And they're like, we're saving this one for you. And he's like, this one would be my pleasure.
Yeah, that's a great scene, right? Because there's sort of like this uprising about, like how, okay, we don't feel that like this, like justice is going to be done. We're super pissed about it, torches and pitchforks. And it's like this one will be I'm okay with this one. This one's all right. I'll execute this dude. This dude sucks.
And the two the spoons, Walt Spoon and Icy Spoon. Who's the fuck's name's
Icy Spoon? You pretty much have to have an ice cream store if your name is Icy Spoon.
Yeah.
I think it's the law.
Or have a OnlyFans page.
No, but they were the ones that were the most like. Well, Walt seemed to be getting it in his head a little bit, like, hey, this situation doesn't quite add up. But his wife was like, was the one completely enthralled by the sexual charisma of, and apparently has never really come in her life. Like, I don't, she explicitly kind of says that. And she's like, I just lay there and think about, my, what did she say?
Oh God.
Mike Canning.
Yeah, I just lay
really
there and
dejected.
think about Mike Canning. Holy crap! What a great line! Like,
and his face is so dejected after, like, I don't know, like,
oh yeah.
But like, she's so enthralled by the sexual charisma and the godliness in her mind, I guess, of Harry Powell, that like she's the one that's like, oh, you should marry this guy that just came into town that we don't know.
He can have all my fudge.
Yo, that's the
Oh my
creepiest
God.
line in this, though.
The
You won't
roughest
get
line,
a
yeah.
smidgen of my fudge unless you come to the picnic.
You know, Cannibal the Musical ruined that line for me because, like, in that movie, every time they ended a sentence with fudge, they would add Packer at the end because, you know, Alfred Packer as a joke. So they would always be offering Alfred Packer fudge. Like, would you like some fudge, Packer?
Okay.
Yeah. So every single time I hear fudge now, I don't want to add that.
I just found it insanely creepy. Like the way that she delivers that line is like flirty and weird. And she's like, "You won't get a smidgen of my fudge unless you come to the picnic."
By the way, the audio commentary for Cannibal the Musical is quite possibly the drunkest commentary on the face of the planet.
Really?
True.
Matt and Trey were just
outdo that
hammered.
in the after party today.
We're gonna recreate it.
And it's gonna be relegated like 2 minutes of material. All the stuff's gonna be in the after party.
And I'm gonna be sitting there, and you know,
the colors were great. There was Andy. Everybody, okay.
A smidgen of fudge for everyone. Yeah, but like, I think that it's kind of funny that they're the ones that are sitting there at the end of when he's getting tried, right? And they're the ones that are like, Bluebeard, he's killed 25 women. Like, they're the ones that are most intensely, calling for his death, when they're kind of the ones that were instigating her to like get married to him in the first place. And like, they were the most enthralled to him, and they were the most useless people, like, to the kids. You know what I mean? Like,
we love you, now die.
It's also funny that they have the whole thing with him talking about the gypsies, and he's like, I thought the gypsies had gotten them. Yes. And he's like, they didn't find the gypsies. They didn't find the horse either, or whatever.
Like, wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of throwaway lines that are little short stories in this, for sure.
Yeah, and that level of racism too, I was not expecting for this movie. I was,
that's pretty. I mean, look, this is 1955, man. Like, this is
I was just expecting an N-word, which there was none.
But like, so they do a really cool thing though, where he says they didn't find the gypsies, they didn't find the horse either, and then it flips right to him riding the horse, and that ominous music that follows him everywhere, dun 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 dun, and he's like and it almost like implies that he was the itinerant person, or I'm overusing the word itinerant in this episode, but he was the kind of traveling.
What's this? You're the one using it.
No, I said I'm.
It's on his War Day calendar.
I said I'm the one. I said I'm overusing itinerant.
Okay.
No one else has said it, but I'm overusing itinerant in this episode. But it's kind of this vagrancy almost, right? Like he's kind of the gypsy in this situation.
He's the drifter.
And the sequence when he's on the horse in the background and the kids see him, that is like, wow.
That's some like Lord of the Rings / Old Testament, call it whatever narrative fiction you want, call it what you will. Like, it's an incredible scene, and just like the kind of like, oh no, go like that kind of level of anxiety.
He's encroaching slowly like Jason Voorhees.
Right. I mean,
well, also the kids are sleeping in that barn, and you see him go by on his horse, and there's that really creepy. He makes it so fucking creepy. Robert Mitchum is so good in this, but he makes the creepy lean in. Yeah. And so he's and you can hear it over the water, right?
You hear him coming. Yeah. It's like, look at Omar coming. Like, look how many times have that been used in like narrative fiction, like lots. And guess where it fucking came from? It came from this film. Like, and the idea of there being like this relentless adversary in pursuit that announced himself with song was not really a thing that was done in movies, for sure.
Good to know David Simon was a fan.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, who
back to Michael K. Williams in the Criterion Closet grabbing the movie. There you go.
I mean, let's be fair. Like, a lot of The Wire's dialogue and stuff was actually done by the actors. because the writers' room was just nothing but white guys. So
That's
I mean,
fair.
like we don't know how black people talk in the inner city.
It was all done by Quentin Tarantino.
So they
I was waiting for that.
so they allowed.
I don't think anyone in the show is saying the N-word enough times. I think that you need to say it at least 3 more times in this episode.
So on The Wire, they actually allowed the actors to really build up their characters like that. So Michael K. Williams, being a fan of this movie, makes perfect sense that he'd actually bring that to the show. I wouldn't credit David Simon for that, unfortunately. I would have to give it to Michael K. Williams.
Yeah, well, I think that
let the record show. Yeah, R.I.P.
I think that is an apt comparison. I think the difference, though, with like a character like Omar is that you kind of understand that there is a narrative logic behind him, right? Like he feels wronged by certain people. He's robbing drug dealers. Like there's kind of almost like a Robin Hood story. You know what I mean?
And he doesn't care who knows it either.
Yeah, man's got to have a code.
I think this version of like a big bad wolf kind of character, right? Where
Gonna make me rewatch The Wire. Goddamn it!
There is no there's no logic. There's no narrative logic to why he's doing this. He's relentlessly pursuing people for their money, but he's also like living in a vagrant lifestyle. Like he's not going to do anything with that money besides steal it and spend it over time, right? Like
wait, he's not going to build a tabernacle.
Like he has no code. There's no code to his actions whatsoever. And I think that kind of makes it more terrifying because you don't know what he's going to do next, or you don't know. You can't justify any of his actions. He's not taking down people that are like that are evil themselves or anything. He's literally just relentlessly hunting these kids.
He's doing it for him and his very personal relationship with God, which is so great. When Johnny, when the kid's dad asked what is your faith exactly, right? And his answer is like so fantastic. Which is basically like, shut up. That's basically his answer, right? Like he's got it. So it makes sense in his mind, allows him to do whatever he wants to do and reconcile the way they wants to reconcile.
I believe
so. He's Alex Jones.
Yeah, I believe that the horse have to die by any stretch of the
Yeah, like I can't remember the exact quote, but it's so just like if you've ever. Okay, so let's keep it relevant, right? Like, we were talking a bit, I don't remember if it was in the after party or what, about the whole thing of everyone calling the upcoming overturning of Roe versus Wade as a victory for the pro-life front. I'm like, if they were really pro-life, they'd be picketing funerals. Like, they're not pro-life. If you believe in execution, you're not pro-life, you're anti-choice. And it's a matter of framing, right? Yeah. So
it's a matter of needing control.
But when you exactly, and the idea is it's nothing to do with like the preservation of life, because what they believe is once you're born, F you, you're like, who cares about you? But if you ever actually talk to someone who's an anti-choice, usually person of faith,
the Robert Mitchum,
the Robert Mitchum type, yeah, exactly. They will have this twisted logic that it manifests in almost the same way, where if you point out like logical inaccuracies, then they fall back on, well, it's faith.
Yeah, well, it's funny.
It's whatever I want to believe.
It's funny how much God wants all the same things you want.
Right, exactly. It works out great. He wants all the same things I want. It's awesome. It's a great.
That's why Jesus and I have such a great relationship.
Oh yeah,
me and God are besties.
But yeah, the line he says is he says the one the Lord worked out betwixt us, which is I think a funny
right. Exactly. Betwixt. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's
betwixt should be the word you're overusing.
Betwixt.
Well, betwixt the three of us.
I like the left Twix best.
but that's one of the reasons why it'd be in like a framed language thing. That's why I wrote that article like a million years ago in Huffington Post about it. Like they're not pro-life, they're anti-choice, right? But the thing is, like, the idea of like framed language didn't even exist back then. It was just sort of like, oh, that's faith, and that was just considered like a person's faith is like could be as public or private as they want it. If you said my faith is private, then people would be like, okay, that's fine. Unless, of course, you were, a Catholic, in which case you were suspect. Because the idea of there being anything other than the two was like pretty like.
I'm a recovering Catholic, and I'm still full of guilt, and I haven't been practicing since I was 16.
I mean, that was a thing when JFK was running. I'm taking us way off track here. This is more after party stuff. But when JFK was running for office, like, oh, well, he's going to be beholden to the Pope.
Yeah, no,
that was a real
There's
thing.
literally a thing where people believe that there was a conspiracy that JFK was a proxy for the Pope that they were ushering into power.
Like, people actually believe that, you know.
He
Which
takes
is
his
like,
orders from the Vatican is the statement.
Now they rather prefer that.
Now they're like, great.
I don't know if they. I don't know. Do they really agree with the current Pope though?
Yeah,
he seems a little progressive.
He's taking his orders from the last Pope.
Yeah, exactly, the dead one.
No, he's still alive.
No, he's still alive. Nazi Pope.
Nazi Pope
still alive.
Ironically, the one from Argentina is the more liberal of the two.
How about the zombie
you
Pope?
think
Is the
that-
zombie Pope going to give out orders anytime soon?
I do think Nazi Pope would be a great South Park character.
Yeah.
But no, so there is this judgmental thing though, right? Like he gets arrested in the beginning, Harry Powell, and he's stolen the car from the widow that he must have killed that they find in the beginning, and he gets arrested watching a woman, do a dirty, I guess, kind of strip tease style dance. I mean, you don't see that part of it.
That reaction, the scene and reaction is so amazing. And I remember it being one of the first things like, okay, this movie, all right, like, but like now even more so because like I kind of want that as a GIF, and like I want that to be my reaction towards many things. Where you just you see
Can't
like,
kill them all, Lord.
yeah, you see like salacious dancing and just like a total no sell, like like non-plus Robert Mitchum face, and then like that's great. That's so great for like this contemporary environment. We have stuff waved in front of your face all the time that you're meant to be excited about, and you're just not.
But hey, in the remake, she'll probably take all her clothes off.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. You got that.
It's going to be on HBO. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's being well that too. Yeah, it'll be released on HBO Max the same day as the theater.
Okay.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that.
By the way, new GIF alert.
That is an excellent GIF.
I need that GIF.
I need that GIF in my life too.
What else? How they
that's how I feel most days. By the way,
I liked how they got around the gore of the scene because they show it to you, but you don't quite see the neck. And then, Uncle Scratchy or whatever his name was,
the devil, Uncle Scratchy. Yeah, good old Uncle Scratchy. Yeah,
I forgot his name, but he's just like
Uncle Bertie.
Uncle Bertie, yes, Uncle Bertie.
Uncle Bernie.
Uncle Bernie. Uncle Bernie was like, describing her neck being slit, and it kind of like filled in the blanks of the picture because even though we saw that.
But it's crazy because you kind of see her sort of close her eyes after, like you see him like raising the knife, and she kind of closes her eyes, like
she's accepting it. Yeah, she's
accepting this as like because again she's got the faith. She knows that she's going to be in a better place momentarily, right? So, anyway,
the water.
But yeah, and like I said, just how much the movie's a little more is a lot more gorier in your head because of the.
It's implied.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all.
He said you should have seen her down there in the deep place with her hair waving back and forth like meadow grass and that slit in her throat like she had an extra mouth. Yeah, and then he goes, if I go to the law, they'll hang it on me. But that image of like it's honestly one of the most disgusting things I've ever thought of in my life. The slit in her throat being an extra mouth. Like,
do you think that that maybe theater of the mind is kind of lost on people now?
Yes.
Kind of.
I think people are used to being spoon fed everything like little whining, screaming babies.
And then I go and put out a book full of scripts for people to use their imagination while reading. Yeah. I'm bright.
Why don't you go back to 1955 and go sit at someone?
Look at something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We were talking about it a few months ago, and in that you don't actually ever see the chainsaw within like anybody. You know what I mean?
You don't see the hook going into Pam. You don't see the only real blood you ever see is dried blood on Sally's face. There's no
that
gore.
Movie is terrifying. That movie is utterly fucking terrifying.
I saw it when I was 7, but I'm okay.
So, but it was able to get a PG rating because they don't actually show any of the like.
Toby Hooper wanted a G. He wanted a G rating for it. All that Dr. Pepper and cigars.
Like, I don't think that when things are gruesome that they're more terrifying. I think that a lot of times implying something is a lot more terrifying.
And I do love good gore too because I quite enjoyed watching the eyeballs explode on the movie I watched last night, Sea Fever.
I'm not saying that gore is always. I'm just saying that.
No. When it's used right, it's great. And
like the head crushing scene in Toxic Avenger. I mean, it wouldn't be, that's And apparently the remake is going to be like a gore fest. So,
but David Yao's going to be.
I said the implication thing. The first thing I thought of was Dennis Reynolds and It's Always Sunny, where he's like, she wouldn't dare because of the implication.
But I think like Split Second, which is a very forgettable movie for the most part, is great because you don't.
Except for on this show where we're bringing it up instead of Night of the Hunter. Yep.
Well, yeah, no, but I'm just using that as an example. You're not seeing the creature like in Jaws before it. It's a movie that was able to use that as a strength. Alien kind of did the same thing, and I think that's with this movie, the gore is kind of talked about but not shown in a way that really does add to the experience.
If we're going to talk about creatures, let's talk about the Meg.
That's my little brother's favorite movie. That's my little brother and I went and saw it in the theater, and we go, "Oi, Mike!" But
I think that's one of the reasons why it works, because this is a suspenseful movie. It's about the suspense. It isn't about the results. You see the after effects, and you see the absolute anxiety that you have for these poor children stuck in this horrible, near biblical parable situation where they're just trying to get away. They don't have a plan. They're just going down the river on a goddamn boat, passing by things, and they managed to luck into an okay situation. But you need to show that type of the emotion. Whereas, granted, it's 1955, and we've talked about this on Psycho when we talked about for Murder and Extravaganza too. It's what you don't show as well, and that's one of the reasons why I find. And I realize that I'm sort of out of the zeitgeist this way. I hate all those Saw movies. I think they're stupid. I think they're boring. I think they're pointless, and I think they're bad for society. And it's vulgarity for vulgarity's sake. And it's not, if you're gonna do that, at least be clever. At least be clever. Okay, Malignant. I liked it better when it's called Basket Case, but it's pretty good.
Exactly.
It's not like I don't know the genre. Of course I know the genre. I'm just saying that does everything need to be laid out for you like a buffet? I don't think so. I mean, for me, no. I'm not interested in that. So most of the horror movies I really liked have sort of transcended the genre in recent years, or the ones I really liked.
Well, so the
Hereditary
movie I think does.
I liked really Hereditary was amazing.
Yeah, Hereditary is a really good. Hereditary was fucking terrifying too.
Legitimately.
Yeah, the way the girl did the way that girl did the.
I did want to actually kind of jump off one of Conan's points though with the ending.
I was trying to jump off one of Conan's points.
Well, every way to get to jump off.
Yeah, but I'm actually talking about the movie Night of the Hunter.
I know. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
The thing that I want
to also have a point about Night of the Hunter.
Introduce.
You heard of this, Paul? Night of the Hunter.
The thing that I wanted to introduce to this conversation is that I think that that Robert Mitchum plays this animal. I think there's an animalism to that role, right? Like a beast.
Look at that scream he utters.
Yeah,
it was
when she shoots at him.
Foghorn Leghorn would shoot the same shout, and whenever he gets shot, and
I say, where's that money, boy?
I'll break your arm if you don't tell me what that money is.
The thing that keeps popping up in my head as you watch Night of the Hunter is when Hitchcock talked about the bomb principle. Do you guys remember this? Where you can where you can have two people sitting down and they're talking about baseball or whatever, and then there's a big explosion, and the audience is like, for 30 seconds. Whereas if you do the same scene and you show the audience the bomb under the table before it explodes for however long it is, they're going to have all of that angst or that anxiousness, and they're going to anxiety, and they're going to be like, you need to get out of there kind of thing. And then the explosion is almost the release. And
that's
so
Battle of Algiers, when they're just hanging out and there's a bomb, and there's 3 bombs in different places.
But what I was actually going to say,
the Batman,
the nice thing about this movie was how the ending of the film, Lillian Gish's character is almost like the inverse of Robert Mitchum's character.
Yes,
where she comes across like this evil, stern Bible person, but then you find out that she's actually kind of the best person in the film.
She's very open-hearted. She's very caring. She's very giving.
Way better than
she's strict, but she's not evil.
Harsh but fair.
Yes.
Well, she's strict in the way that a mother is, right? Like a severe mother that wants the best for their kids. She's not strict in the way that she gives the kids love. She gives them gifts. She really does a lot for the kids.
And then when Slutty McSlutterson was like, I wasn't doing swimming, I was hanging out with men, and she's just like, it's okay. She actually like she didn't lecture her. She didn't treat her.
She goes,
you're trying to find love in your own way. Yeah.
She also goes, you're gonna hit me, and she goes, when have I ever? And I think you're supposed to see in that moment too that there's a tenderness that like maybe she is severe in her words, but not physically hostile to these kids.
But even though she's kind of a smaller woman, she's got like this commanding presence about her that isn't very intimidating.
I believe that's what we call German expressionism.
But yeah, no, just seeing her stand off against Robert Mitchum at the end was just the best, because you have just two giants, even she's tiny, but these two giants just like battle of wills at the end. So
well, you also have a singing battle of wills where they're both singing lean
and harmonizing too.
Lean and it's such a strange, surreal moment, but like you're kind of comforted, I think, by the fact that she's sitting on that porch and like she can't help but to sing
with
the
her
song.
gun.
And you finally realize that this is someone that can actually butt heads and win against Robert Mitchum's constant just barrage of evil as Harry Powell.
And they're both getting something out of it too. And also it occurs to me that like maybe Stephen King had that in mind when he wrote The Stand,
which I just watched the remake of, and I did not hate it.
It was okay. It was okay.
I thought Alexander Skarsgård was amazing as Randall Flagg. He was fantastic.
I thought that, so what this should be after party stuff, but you can't be on the after party. So what I didn't care for about that was that I didn't like the telling in flashback. I thought that removed all the tension of being like, are they going to be able to get to this place of safety? I thought that removed it entirely and kind of made that dull. But there's
there's no Joe Bob Briggs in this one, so that kind of
also
because if you go back and watch the movie, he's the reason that it left the small town in Texas, because he was near somebody and then he drove off as the military's coming in and he's like it's like, uh-oh, they're gonna kill Joe Bob. How am I supposed to watch Monster Vision? I mean Last Drive-In.
Well, but like think about, you've got the man in black and then you've got like, the old woman on the porch. Right. And like, these have become iconic in our culture to a certain degree. And they've become tropes of sorts. But like at the time, it was just like, hey, we got Lillian Gish. Let's give her something cool to do. Right. And like she's a great character. She even like breaks the fourth wall near the end, which is kind of crazy, where it's like, hey, did you not get the moral of this? Let me explain it to you, audience. Like,
by the way, her line where she says, children abide or whatever. Yeah. That was picked up by the Coen brothers during The Big Lebowski. The dude abides, like that. They took that line directly from this movie.
And for the record, I like Rachel Cooper much better than Mother Abigail or whatever her name was in The Stand.
yes,
I forget. Yes,
I agreed. But I'm thinking about it in terms of the light versus the dark, the diametric opposites, so on. And so
right, right. Good versus evil.
Yes. I think another
Kristina, are you awake down there? You good? How's the internet? All right.
I think another thing that makes this movie
she's doing a really good Lillian Gish cosplay right now, not saying anything.
She's doing her review with her eyes.
I think that it's kind of fascinating that a lot of the evil, when it comes to children, right? Like a lot of the evil can be implied. Like obviously, like sexual abuse against children is a horrifying thing. And
save the children.
So for Harry's character to kind of be talking about secrets and to kind of be like incredibly physically dominating to these kids, and there's that really whatever he does to Pearl's, like you don't find out what he does to Pearl, but I mean I assume he does something to her arm, tries to like rip off her arm or something, but she screams and you don't see that happen, but you see it from the mother's perspective outside, and most mellow zanned out mother of all time, because she kind of hears her kid scream and doesn't do anything about it, and it's just like, hey, you do know where the money is, don't you? Yeah, but but like it's kind of like a lot of the evil and a lot of the violence doesn't need to actually be shown on screen, also because I think it's children, and this is someone who's incredibly manipulative and abusive and hostile, and like, you don't actually have to see it on screen. I think it would actually ruin it probably if you saw some of that on screen. it becomes so much more ominous.
I think it still. I think it still works, but I think if you let the viewer fill in what they think happened, it's like all the better.
Yeah,
and especially because there weren't a lot of movies that did that back then. You know,
yeah, it's a bit like what Scott McCloud was talking about in Understanding Comics, where like interesting stuff happens between panels.
I still need to read that.
Yeah, it's a marvelous book, but the concept with comics is specifically like you tell a story and you use what the imagination between panels to tell part of your story and be able to lead people through that. And I think this movie in a way does something similar. And I don't know, I didn't go to film school. I just I'm a comic book guy, so so I'm citing.
I learned my film knowledge from the streets.
Yes.
Omar's coming.
But I'm sure
I didn't go to film school, and I've made a bunch of movies. So I mean,
but
what
I'm
does
sure
that
there's
say?
actually like a name for this in film, is what I'm trying to say. Whereas I'm pulling it from another source.
His ass. He's pulling it from his ass.
Yes.
Hey, Kristina, what do you think about any of what
there is a term for that? I don't know what it is, Andy, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Kristina, what do you think about any of the stuff we've just said?
Letterbox one-liners anytime soon? No, literally, like when I did my panel last night, they this one person from like Progressive Brat Stream was like was in my chat today, and they were like, "Wait, there's a leftist movie podcast out there that does letterbox one-liners?" I was like, "Okay."
We gotta lead with that as the main selling point. We're the letterbox one-liner guys.
Yeah.
Letterbox one-liner extravaganza.
Exactly. It's a popular site.
That's how I write my letterbox reviews now.
They love the movies that we have picked this month. They're like, "Oh my god, Tokyo Drifter!" Like they were excited. They're really excited to like watch this stuff. They're like, "Oh my god, Under the Silver Lake too! Wait, you did the Third Man? Oh my goodness, you're doing Night of the Hunter!" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Damn, this is gonna be a great podcast."
I still haven't seen the Third Man. I know every time I try and find a copy, it's out of print and it's just
it's on archive.org.
It's on what?
Archive.org has it.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's also on Criterion Collection. That's right.
That one's out of print.
Yeah, but
I'm saying their streaming service.
Okay, the one from Archive actually is from Criterion. it's a rip from that.
Right. Well, so do you want to do the Letterboxd one-liners?
Forrest, I would love to. So Letterboxd, of course, is a place for film. It's an open source democracy. Everybody gets to have their say, not just the Siskel's and the Eberts. Everybody gets to talk about the films they love, the films that they didn't love, the films they were baffled by, the films they were weirdly thirsty for, the principal players and or character actors for. All of this is, of course, best expressed in the classic working on your tight 5 one-liner format, where we can utilize this and put them in a top 10 style list from many late night talk shows of yore. And these are Letterboxd one-liners for The Night of the Hunter. I didn't know black and white could look this beautiful. Religious manipulation never looked so good.
By the way, what do you think of the background I chose for these?
That's a solid background. I'm for it. It's good. Second best movie villain after The Troll and Ernest Scared Stupid.
I love Ernest Scared Stupid.
That was the first movie I ever saw by myself in the theater.
I need to have a conversation with Scott here to find out if that's an insult or a compliment.
4 stars.
Why not both?
Yep.
Ruby is one of those insane true crime bitches.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yo, but she just looking for love out there.
She has her own podcast now.
She would definitely have her own podcast. Yeah.
And it's on Earwolf.
I like the line that she says she can't harvest eggs without breaking them or something. That's her Ruby diss track.
Diss track. Robert Mitchum, lean in. Me will mark me down as scared and horny.
I don't think Robert Mitchum would. I don't think that character would approve of that review.
Nope.
No.
Women's bodies are for breeding babies, and that's it.
Exactly. Flawless
breeding.
Movie. Oh. Flawless movie, but Kevin McAllister will wipe the floor with this guy.
Oh my god!
And they kind of get into that though when they're downstairs in the basement and they pull down. It kind of started getting those kind of like almost Home Alone vibes. Like it's almost cartoonish in a way, you know, like
yeah. There's a reason this was Radio Raheem's favorite film.
R.I.P. to a legend, by the way, Radio Raheem.
Absolutely. Radio Raheem. We speak your name. Imagine making one movie and it's the best movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like
I wish he had been alive to hear that though. Like, you know,
you know, but it's a bit like the woman who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird. You know, she only wrote one book. And then she lived to be 1,000 years old. So, and
then they claim that they found a second version where.
Well, yeah, that was like
it was racist as fuck.
Yeah.
If a man asks if you want to hear the story of right hand, left hand, you run.
It was with this hand that Brother Kane laid his way. I'm not good at saying it, but he's like, it was with this hand that laid the blow that with Brother Kane. He says it, and I can't do it. I can't say it the way he says it.
Oh, it's majestic.
That's why you were not cast in the role.
Yeah, I would.
And you probably weren't alive.
Well, that's another reason why I wasn't cast in the role. Lillian gets with a shotgun. Need I say more?
Amen.
Yeah.
I love when
like
the deal
Ash.
with the guy. Yeah, absolutely. I love when the deal with the guy is that he's the devil. Hard agree.
Yeah.
Those are the
mean,
Letterboxd one-liners.
If you think about it, like, you know, Lucifer was a fallen angel.
Exactly. Of course, Letterboxd. You can follow the show, which is Forrest over there, Moving Extravaganza. You can follow me, Conan Neutron. I am on Letterboxd as well. Right Twix Dick Veins is what you're. That's not.
You just saw that, huh?
I wasn't clearly. I wasn't looking on that side of the screen. J. Andrew World over there watching all the exploding eyeball pictures apparently, and all the esoteric fare. Kristina needs to be on it more, but you can follow Kristina as well, and of course Uncle Ron doing his best Letterboxd one-liners for all the stuff in the ephemera.
Yes,
as well.
I just realized what I can start doing. I've been going through all of Johnny Depp's filmography, so I could do Letterboxd one-liners of every film. I've literally watched like almost every film of his right now.
They'll probably be popping. They'll probably be great. Greatly reviewed reviews. I love that you can review other people's reviews.
Exactly. I love that as well.
I think my favorite. I think my favorite one-line review is for The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
Is it just in general or the one you did?
The one I did. Anytime Pedro Pascal can be on the big screen is a win for everyone.
That's true.
Daddy.
That is very wholesome. I will say also that when I do the Letterboxd one-liners, I tend to eschew the very, very popular ones unless they're very good. I actually comb through all of the one likes, no likes, because some of those are gold and they're just like people that don't know anybody are popular. They deserve their day in court. I'm the Atticus Finch of Letterboxd one-liners, friends.
By the way, I need to redeem myself. Would you like me to tell you the story of right hand, left hand, the story of good and evil? H-A-T-E. It was with this hand that Brother Kane struck the blow that laid his brother low. You know.
So he's a rapper.
Anyway, that's that bit. Letterboxd one-liners. J. Andrew World over there. Take it away.
All right. If you're watching us right now on Twitch, and you can, please subscribe. That helps us out. If you happen to be a Amazon Prime customer, you can subscribe for free, and boom, we get it. We get it. We greatly thank you for that.
Get money.
Yes. If you're over on the YouTubes, have them tied because
you watch the news, you know what's going on.
Yes.
Wow, that got dark.
Hi, Frank.
Right. No, but if you're watching this over on YouTube, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Comments help. And one thing actually does really help a lot is if you can watch this video to the end. You got a great song by Conan Neutron you can watch. So you have reason to do that.
Yes, watch the music with your eyes.
There's a great video put together by Forrest, so it's a win-win.
The video's all right too, but the music, really. Thank you. Tell me more about the music. Yeah.
Conan slays it on the flute.
There is some flute.
Anyways, If you don't want to watch us, you just want to listen to us, we
And
are
why wouldn't
available
you?
as a audio podcast, which is terrible because then you'll totally miss Kristina's reviews with her eyes in this episode, but
and her cat,
as
which is
well as
gorgeous.
Kristina cuddling with her kitty cat too, which
Yes.
is also.
You
But
get
you gotta
that
go
a
Twitch.
lot
too.
on my
making a
stream.
callback to an
Yeah, I was
earlier
gonna
joke.
say.
The cat's not the earlier joke.
Oh, man.
Ew,
There we
you're
go.
drooling all over me.
And
My favorite Dinosaur Jr. album.
Not the oh my god.
also, if
I
you,
was gonna say I hear you. It's not the first time I've heard that.
if you happen to be really wanting to help us out, we do have a Patreon. Patreon will get you things like you can party all the time with the after parties, and not just once, like what's going to happen.
Patrons
in a
like
few
to
minutes.
party all the time, party all the
That's
time.
a party
The party never ends on old Patreon.
That's what I hear.
But we also plan on expanding it for more things coming soon. So, watch this space. And one last thing, we are involved with the Big Bear Film Festival.
Yes.
We don't have much to announce as to what the involvement is, but
we still talk about it all the time.
yes, no, we're just, hyping it up. Watch this space here. We'll, as soon as we know, we can let you know.
And with that, we will, lay the blow that Brother Kane laid his brother low. I'm getting better at it.
Yeah. Picking it up.
It'd be great, but for add it in a month.
Exactly. When movie noir extravaganza is over.
Mid-June, the middle of an episode. Hey guys, you want to hear the story of right hand, left hand?
Yeah.
You're like, what does this have to do with this movie? And we're
like
reviewing,
covering
like-
Love Actually or something, right? And he's like,
yeah. Oh, we should do that.
I like that movie.
Look,
Left,
off the top of my head. I'm
left actually is the
there you go.
Left Actually, is that another Rapture movie?
Yeah. All right. Starting with old Uncle Ron over here. I hope you don't get too drunk in the steamboat tonight and miss out on all the action going on with your niece and nephew. But I want to hear some final thoughts. I want to hear what you have to say. Call in, let us know.
Conan, you said that this was in your top 30, your top 20 of all time.
Yeah. I arbitrarily threw a number out because I wasn't really thinking too hard about it. But yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites.
It makes the upper lower half of my top 10. And it follows things like the original Dawn of the Dead and True Romance, which is kind of weird, but everybody's got their thing. But this is an absolute masterpiece. I don't think there's anything wrong with it at all. I think it might be one of the few perfect movies. When I remember when I was talking to Conan about coming on, and I said, "Well, are you guys doing the Thin Man?" And he I think you thought I said Third Man. And then you mentioned Night of the Hunter. I'm like, no, I want to do that one.
Right.
It was I almost tackled him, be like, no, I'm doing Night of the Hunter.
It's one of those rare movies that's able to harness star talent while also kind of feeling like it's just kind of people that really worked hard to put together a movie. You know what I mean? Like you kind of feel that almost independent feeling to it. So I don't know about another movie that's able to capture both those things. Like
it's the kind of horror movie that I like, and I don't even know if I'd call it a horror movie.
What do you call it? Fairy tale noir?
Maybe.
It does have fairy tale vibes. Big fairy tale energy.
That's what Eddie Muller, the guy that that we go to for a lot of things, that wrote that book that I
that's right.
about. Yeah. Turner Classic Movies guy. He said it was like he did the noir or not thing, and he's like, well,
I thought it said Hot or Not. Yeah.
Hot or Not is a movie podcast that I would fucking watch. It's 30-second episodes, and they're just like, this movie.
Whether a movie is hot or not. There you go.
Swipe left on Night of the Hunter.
But yeah, is that anything else you need to say or want to say? Or?
It's one of those things that, as a creative person, I aspire to do, but know I'll never ever do as good as. If that makes sense. Just make sense of my words.
But I mean,
do what I say and pay attention to me.
Charles Lawton's kind of unappreciated in this time, right? Like his
100%.
acting is appreciated, but his his one directorial credit. Really, he felt like it wasn't.
But hey, was it him or was it Stanley Cortez?
He's just getting negged.
Clips. Yeah, exactly.
He's just getting negged by Stanley Cortez on the phone every day. He's like, "You didn't come up with this movie. I did. Remember that."
Another thing, I invented the camera.
and Greg Toland, who's he?
No one ever talked about the iris until I did. I'm Iris Stanley over here.
And D.W. Griffith came to me.
I'm speaking in a jocular tone, but I'm 100% serious about this. Yeah.
I said to D.W. Griffith, knock off the racism and get another camera, and you should be amazing.
And everything will work out just great.
I do think it's Lillian Gish was in Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of.
Oh yes, I forgot about that. Yeah. Well.
But I think a big thing is that D.W. Griffith inspired Charles Laughton. Like he watched all of those movies before kind of coming up with this, and of course also like German Expressionism did. But it gives you that nice Brothers Grimm feeling to this movie. I think those Germans, they sure love fairy tales.
And murder.
And murder. Yeah. Kristina, you got some final thoughts?
It is a shame that Charles Laughton did not live to see how appreciated this film ended up becoming towards like the world and in history. I mean, Library of Congress approval, when you get the Library of Congress stamp approval, there's significance right there. You can see the inspiration from German Expressionism and even silent film, especially with Lillian Gish being casted. Robert Mitchum is the perfect actor for this role. It's not the last time he would play such a character. We all know that. That's kind of like his like calling card, is to play these very like seedy, shady, yet somewhat creepily charming type of characters. I'm glad that we actually went over this film, and right hand, left hand, let's go.
Conan, let's hear it. You picked this film. This is your
absolutely
choice. Your big overwhelming.
Your big break in TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch.
Everything else was just the lead up to it, huh? Well, I mean, yeah, for good reason, right? Like, so this is the idea is to do noir movies and do the different flavors of noir and walk through it ultimately sequentially and figure out what tropes were established, when they were established, what things created those tropes, what things sort of eschewed them entirely. I mean, noir notwithstanding, Harry Powell is one of the best villains on screen of all time, and should be on any like top 20, top 10 list, whatever, of best villains of all time, 100%. And but the movie itself does such a great job of expressing the extreme helplessness and anxiety of children in trouble in a way that most movies don't pull off. And it's that alone makes it incredibly worthwhile. The visuals are astounding. Obviously, GDT paid attention, Fassbinder, Altman, like so many directors like paid attention to what this incredible film has done and tried to do their own reason. Lynch, David Lynch, like huge fan of this. When I promo this episode, I got a comment from Phil Calvert from the Birthday Party saying that Tracy Pugh and Nick Cave were huge fans of this movie, which makes a lot of sense, right? Because if you look at like especially like Nick Cave's body of work, so much of it is embodied with this sort of like, deep abiding like faith and amorality and light and dark, et cetera, et cetera. Influential is putting it mildly. And it's a shame that this was both a critical and a commercial failure because, as Kristina mentioned, this it's too bad that Charles Laughton didn't get to see it sort of find its audience and like be revered the way it is, because this is a movie that is worth revering for multiple reasons. And it doesn't mean it's necessarily a perfect movie, but it's certainly one of my favorite movies. And I'm super glad that I extended my social capital to make this my 100% have to do choice, because I think
Sophie's choice.
My Sophie's choice of Movie Noir Extravaganza to fit it very nicely where it is right now. And I'm glad we got a chance to discuss it with Ron, who is going to go convalesce now.
Yeah, all good points. Just the amount of different directors this inspired, like just to find out like Spike Lee was incredibly inspired by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And his filmmaking really has nothing to do. Well, I mean, I guess kind of the light and dark thing and like Do the Right Thing, right? Like that he's kind of playing off of, and that's why he has the love and hate Radio Raheem thing. But like, just you couldn't think of a director, I think, a lot of times who's done different things than this movie is attempting to do, but at the same time, like, is still inspired by the filmmaking.
Because it's a vibe movie too. Oh, that's the thing. And the vibes are mostly bad, but it's totally a vibe movie. And one of the things about a vibe movie is that it allows people to get into a state where their imagination's fired up and like a state of like creative dreaming to a certain degree, which is probably where,
And I would say too, Mo Better Blue certainly achieved, tried to reach the visuals of this movie. So
yeah,
I was gonna say vibes, ominous, I think is
yes, 100%.
But Andy, do you have some final thoughts?
I do have a few final thoughts for you. I know one thing I don't like about older movies is a lot of the monologuing, which this movie had in spades at the beginning. While I appreciated Robert Mitchum's prayer to God, I thought that was great. There was, like Peter Graves had this big monologue, and everybody had like this big monologue to kind of get things going. It was very theatrical, and I'm just, I always feel like whenever I see somebody monologuing like that, it's like, bitch, if I want this, I'll go to a theater.
And Charles Lawton, I mean, his big thing was Broadway, and
yeah. So like, that is my kind of one. Well, the other one is the acting of the little girl. It's so hard to find good, children actors. It's amazing.
Still hard to find good kids these days. They're all getting aborted.
It's amazing that they found one. Let alone
wow.
But the thing is,
we're definitely heading to the after party, aren't we? All right.
Yeah. But like, I'm gonna get, once she stopped having lines, she was fine. It just was her line delivery was driving me nuts. But outside of those two things, once you get past that, this movie is actually fantastic. And even at the end, whenever they start monologuing again, you don't mind it so much because it's Lillian Gish again, just like the prayer at the beginning, which was kind of monologuing. I think, it's a bit theatrical, but at the same token, it really did kind of push things forward in a certain way. That
you didn't like when the little girl said, "My name's Pearl,"
but she always said everything like she was like screaming the lines.
Yeah,
and I don't
know. My name's Pearl.
Yeah,
my name is Pearl.
But like, there's a certain monotone that like little kids have, and this is only like at that particular age when they scream everything, and it's just. Yeah,
not everyone can be Margaret O'Brien.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just watched some Drew Barrymore movies whenever she was little, Firestarter and Cat's Eye, and she was fantastic in those.
Well, she comes from the Barrymore family, so that explains a lot.
And Andy's version of Night of the Hunter is his hunter character is just hunting down like 4-year-old girls and killing them, being like, "You're so fucking annoying. I am not doing."
This is the parents of the panel.
Right. This is the good question from the comment, Sean. Would the panel say it's a better Great Depression film than The Grapes of Wrath?
Ooh. I haven't seen Grapes of Wrath recently, so I cannot comment.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, but
I mean, different. It's different vibes.
But I do think that this movie kind of hammers home a lot of the elements of the Great Depression that, from just the fact that, like people are so poor, they're just kind of abandoning their kids and leaving them behind. And like, people like even other poor people kind of have to, almost like adopt these kids. And that it's such a desperate situation that like you would, because I don't know if they really showed it well enough in this, but like the thing is supposed to be that Peter Graves' character is like a very good man, like a very like kind person who ends up being like the only way that I'm going to help my kids out is to take this money. And I don't know. I mean, his performance is kind of dickish, so I don't know if he comes across overly that way, but like that is supposed to be the thing, that he's like a kind father and like he's just driven to this by the and that's why you get the comment from the executioner who's like really harrowed by it, because it's like this is like a good guy that it wasn't over his head.
South went south for. And in the same way, like you have like Rachel Cooper and Harry Powell are two sides of like the same coin for like religiosity, right? You have someone that's like being like self-serving and like blatantly evil in the name of Christianity, and you have someone that's actually like walking the walk and their own way and following their faith in a way that is positive to their community and culture at large.
and doing it quietly and not kind of turning it into
not making a
performative.
big deal of it. Exactly, not being performative about it. Precisely.
All right. Well, Andy, is that all you wanted to say with
other than the Simpsons, where the great moment of yeah, here's my grapes and here's my wrath, but
all right. My final thoughts on this movie are: you don't get a smidgen of my fudge unless you stay for the after party.